One of the most powerful warships on the planet, a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, was parked just 1,400 kilometers from one of Iran's most critical ports, and then it moved, quietly, without any official explanation from the United States. Iran said it happened. The U.S. has not confirmed it. So what is really going on? Today we are going to break down exactly what happened, why it matters, and what this move, or non-move, could mean for the future of U.S.-Iran relations. Stay with me. This one is important. To understand this story, we need to go back just a few weeks. In late January 2026, the United States deployed the USS Abraham Lincoln, one of the most advanced nuclear-powered aircraft carriers in the world, into the Middle East region. The USS Abraham Lincoln is not a small ship. It is 333 meters long. It carries thousands of sailors and Marines, and it does not travel alone. It is flanked by at least 3 guided missile destroyers, forming what is known as a carrier strike group. U.S. Central Command, or CENTCOM, officially confirmed the deployment. They said the carrier was sent to, and I quote, promote regional security and stability. But everyone watching this situation knew the real reason. Tensions between the United States and Iran had been climbing for weeks. President Trump had already made strong public statements warning Iran to negotiate a nuclear deal or face serious consequences. So the USS Abraham Lincoln arriving in the Middle East was not just a routine move. It was a signal, a very clear signal. Now here is where the story gets interesting. Iran's semi-official news agency, Fars News, which is known to be closely connected to Iran's ruling establishment, reported that the USS Abraham Lincoln had pulled back, withdrawn, moved approximately 1,400 kilometers away from the port city of Chabahar in southern Iran. That is roughly 870 miles. According to the same report, the carrier strike group relocated to a position near the Gulf of Aden, east of Yemen's Socotra Island. That places it significantly farther from Iranian shores. Now here is the key point. The United States has not confirmed this report. They have not denied it either. They have simply stayed silent. So we are in an unusual situation where Iran is the one making the announcement and America is saying nothing. To fully understand why this withdrawal matters, we need to talk about Chabahar Port. Chabahar is located on Iran's southeastern coast, right on the Gulf of Oman, and it is strategically important, not just for Iran, but for multiple countries in the region. For years, India invested heavily in developing this port. India saw Chabahar as a way to access Afghanistan and Central Asia without going through Pakistan. India committed around $120 million to the project. But here is what changed. The United States reimposed sanctions on Chabahar in late September 2025. India received a temporary waiver, but that waiver is set to expire in April 2026. Reports suggest India has already begun winding down its activities at the port, so Chabahar is now caught in the middle of a much bigger geopolitical battle, one between U.S. pressure and Iran's desire to maintain its international trade connections. The USS Abraham Lincoln being positioned near Chabahar was not a coincidence, and its reported withdrawal is raising serious questions. Here is what makes this story even more layered. The reported withdrawal of the carrier did not happen in isolation. It happened at exactly the same time as major diplomatic activity. Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, was due to arrive in Israel around the same time. He was expected to meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and with Mossad Director David Barnea. On top of that, senior U.S. and Iranian officials were reportedly preparing to meet in Turkey. Reports indicated that Witkoff and Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, were expected to join talks with Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi in Istanbul. So let us think about this clearly. On one hand, you have a massive U.S. warship near Iran. On the other hand, you have direct diplomatic conversations between U.S. and Iranian officials. The timing of the reported withdrawal, right as talks were beginning, is something analysts are watching very closely. Some believe the pullback is a goodwill gesture to keep negotiations moving. Others believe it is simply a routine repositioning, and Iran is reading too much into it. While all of this was unfolding, Iran made its own bold move. Iran deployed what it called its first aircraft carrier, a vessel named the Iris Shahid Bagheri. Now, to be clear, this is not an aircraft carrier in the traditional sense. It is a converted container ship originally built as a cargo vessel called the Peregrine. Engineers modified it with a flight deck and a ski jump ramp to support drone operations. The ship is armed with anti-ship missiles, surface-to-air missiles, and cannons, and Iran released video footage of drones launching from its deck. The message from Tehran was clear. Iran was saying, "You have your carrier, we have ours. We are not backing down." This kind of move is designed as much for domestic audiences as it is for international ones. It shows the Iranian people that their country is standing strong, even when facing one of the most powerful navies in the world. Now let us get to the real question. What does the reported withdrawal of the USS Abraham Lincoln actually mean? There are several possibilities on the table. First, it could be a diplomatic signal. If the U.S. is genuinely trying to open a channel of communication with Iran, pulling a massive warship back from Iranian shores could be a way of saying, "We are willing to talk. We are not here to start a war right now." Second, it could be a tactical reposition. Military assets move constantly. The Gulf of Aden is still a critical area of operations, especially given the ongoing situation with Yemen's Houthi forces. Moving the carrier there does not necessarily mean a de-escalation with Iran. Third, and this is what some analysts are considering, the silence from Washington could be intentional. By not confirming or denying the move, the U.S. keeps all options open. They do not want to appear weak by publicly admitting a withdrawal, but they also do not want to block any diplomatic progress by denying it. Whatever the true reason, one thing is certain. The situation between the U.S. and Iran remains fluid, and every move, or non-move, is being watched by the entire world. Let us zoom out for a moment and look at the bigger picture. The United States and Iran have been locked in a tense relationship for decades. Sanctions, threats, and military posturing have been a constant feature of that relationship. But what we are seeing right now is something different. There are actual diplomatic talks happening, face-to-face conversations between U.S. and Iranian officials. That is rare. That is significant. At the same time, the military pressure has not gone away. The USS Abraham Lincoln is still in the region. U.S. forces are still conducting exercises. And President Trump has made it very clear that if negotiations fail, the consequences will be severe. Iran, for its part, is walking a tightrope. They are responding to U.S. pressure while also trying to maintain their standing on the world stage. India's quiet withdrawal from Chabahar Port adds another layer. It shows just how much influence U.S. sanctions have in reshaping global trade and alliances, even among countries that have historically tried to stay independent. So here is where we stand. The USS Abraham Lincoln reportedly moved 2,400 kilometers away from Iran's Chabahar Port. Iran announced it. The U.S. has stayed silent. Diplomatic talks are underway, and the world is watching to see what happens next. This is not a story that is over. This is a story that is just beginning. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure you subscribe. Share this video with anyone who wants to understand what is really happening in the Middle East right now, because the next few weeks could change a lot. Thank you for watching. Stay informed.